Throughout her life, RMS Olympic has been the setting for many climatic stories, battles during the Great War, speed racing, and even murder. You're about to discover one of her stories of high-stakes espionage on the high seas. Let's set the stage. Mid-August 1911, during the peak of the shipping war between Cunard and White Star for dominance on the booming transoceanic passenger business, a vintage space race is unfolding. White Star's Olympic entered service as a response to Cunard's highly successful Mauretania and Lusitania. Shortly, Titanic will be launched and completed, and it will once again be Cunard's chance to counter with a noble ocean liner to stand out and challenge White Star's twins before their third sister enters the arena in 2 years. There are spies on both sides during this Cold War. They are sailing aboard enemy ships, investigating every nook and cranny for what's good and what's bad, what the customer prefers and what they reject, striving to get an upper hand on their competitor and build a superior liner. Cunard's ace up their sleeve is a master designer and critic, a disciplined and gifted draftsman for 30 years, faithful company agent for 27, and handlebar mustache master savant. He has boarded White Star's flagship while docked in the United States. Let's hear from his notes and observations and what intriguing morsels he was able to obtain while sailing aboard RMS Olympic. Olympic. On August 19th, the writer joined the above-named steamer at New York and sailed for Cherbourg and Southampton. The vessel has 7,000 tons of coal on board. Passengers stated to be on board: 447 saloon, 205 second cabin, 914 third class. The height of B deck above water will be about the same on the Aquitania, so that no difficulty in landing or embarking passengers at New York will be anticipated. The average speed on the official log issued to passengers was given as 22.01 knots. Notes on general arrangements. One cannot be impressed, even with a large number of passengers on board, with the superabundance of promenade deck space. A deck was the most popular. B deck was deserted, but the boat deck was not used much as a promenade, and deck chairs were not allowed there. Perhaps the most popular feature of the ship is the reception room at the fore end of the first-class dining saloon. After lunch and at tea the room is full, but after dinner the place is crowded. All the surplus chairs and settees have been moved out of the ensuite rooms and placed here. Chairs are brought out of the saloon, and every available space, main stairway included, is occupied by passengers. There seems to be no doubt that if the band played in the reception room until 11 o'clock, the passengers would remain there. It is understood that the reception room on the Titanic is much longer than that on the Olympic. Restaurant. This appears to be a success. The introduction of the restaurant appears to be creating a new class of passenger, who assumes an air of superiority and holds aloof from the ordinary saloon diner. An objection to the restaurant is that the windows open out onto the second-class promenade. It is understood that in the Titanic, the companion on B deck is to be converted into a reception room or lounge for the use of those who use the restaurant. It would greatly facilitate matters if an experiment of this kind could be made before finally settling the catering arrangements for the Aquitania. Dining saloon. Very little fault can be found. It is in the ventilation of the room that an apparent error of judgment has been made. There is no opening or well in the center. On this particular voyage, the weather admitted of all the ports being open, and the inner windows kept ajar. Even under these conditions, the place was very warm. Had there been any wind, the ports could not have been kept open on account of the draught, and when they have to be closed, the room will get stuffy and uncomfortable. Care must be taken in the Aquitania that in addition to the central well, good exhaust tubes must be provided at each end of the room. Query: can columns in lounge be made large enough to act as exhausts? Saloon service. In the matter of time occupied in the extraction of passengers' orders, nothing better could be desired. Regarding the standard of quality, method of serving the food, napery, cutlery, and general service, this is much higher in the Cunard than in the White Star, an opinion expressed several times by passengers on the Olympic who have evidently traveled by both lines. Ventilation. The systems employed would be approved by most ventilating experts. When one takes into consideration the enormous number of electric lights, the confined heat in machinery spaces, and the want of means of circulation, it is not surprising that a high temperature prevails in most of the cabins. For example, take all the best class of rooms on C deck. The ensuite rooms are placed next to the skin of the ship, and the inside rooms are the rooms enclosed sealed. There are no athwartship corridors with ports at the ends. Consequently, the smell from the inside rooms in the morning after 2 or 3 persons have been sleeping in them is very objectionable. The dummy funnel has not proved a success. The writer went to the top of the funnel, but could feel no great rush of air going out. In order to get a circulation of air in the corridor to first-class rooms at the fore end of E deck, a door of wire netting has been fitted to get a current of air from the adjacent third-class stairway. It occasionally obtained more foul language than fresh air. Swimming, Turkish, and electric baths. Up to nearly the end of this voyage, springboards for diving were fitted, but owing to there being 3 accidents, the boards were removed. It was stated that the Titanic is being fitted with 2 swimming baths, one for ladies and the other for gentlemen. In the steam and hot rooms, the sides are covered with M-Deca, the enamel on which is all peeling off, and the zinc is going to powder. Samples taken from the walls submitted. Lifts. These are very little used by passengers. They are scarcely ever seen or thought about. Passenger accommodation. The ensuite and special cabins are overdone in detail and garish in decoration. Watertight doors. On 2 occasions, the writer had an opportunity of seeing these worked, but did not consider them to be satisfactory. When once the door is released, it cannot be stopped, and when it is down, it has to be raised by hand gear. Olympic completed her journey on the 25th, docking at Southampton at 1:40 p.m. This is where Cunard's informants left ship, his numerous notes, sketches, and specimens in hand. He spent the subsequent week's time penning up a report, submitting it to his office for analysis. So who was Cunard's spy, and what of his mission and outcome? Well, meet Leonard Pesquet, naval architect of the Cunard line who was one of the chief designers of Caronia, Carmenia, Lusitania, Mauretania, and eventually Aquitania. Pesquet was vital in assisting Cunard to develop these grand ocean liners by accurately understanding the valuable data from the turbine engine. Regarded so profoundly in his field, Pesquet was questioned by the British inquiry into the Titanic disaster later in 1912. His mission aboard Olympic in 1911 wasn't a cloak and dagger spy game sortie. The shipping lines would routinely assign representatives to sail across other liners, and sometimes they would borrow certain design aspects with permission from each other. Bruce Ismay requested from Cunard if Olympic could use a certain design of windows for Olympic's B-deck cabins. Mr. Pesquet was, however, aboard to document and note Olympic for the role of finalizing the outfit and design of Aquitania. Several of his key observations would help to enhance Aquitania, from coaling doors to, as you heard from the man, better ventilation. But what it provides us now is a rather important first-hand account of RMS Olympic pre-Titanic disaster from an industry professional. Leonard Pesquet was fundamentally a Titanic enthusiast shipped aboard Olympic with a pencil and paper in hand with instructions to write down everything of importance. And boy did he consider a lot to be important. Mr. Pesquet, who unknowingly assisted us Titanic fans more than 100 years later, should always be commemorated for being fastidious in his note-taking manner, acclaimed for the mighty ships he helped to design, and respected for his many achievements with the Cunard line. To quote his obituary in Engineering magazine in 1924, he leaves a memory of a kindly nature, which put everyone whom he appreciated immediately at ease, and he inspired any company he entered with the true spirit of friendship. Many thanks to Mark Churnside for his invaluable investigation into Mr. Pesquet's notes. Take a peep at Mark's site, or get his books in the description below if you want to learn more about Olympic, Titanic, Aquitania, or ocean liners in general. For Titanic University, I'm Matthew DeWinkler, and thanks for watching.